Doctors are now warning because, despite his best efforts to recover, Scrappy's condition has taken a startling turn. Rumors are circulating through the hospital corridor that hope is fading. And his family and admirers are horrified by the revelation. According to people familiar with the situation, medical specialists are becoming more skeptical. The question remains, will Scrappy survive, or is this a painful battle coming to an end? You will be shocked by what we have discovered, so stay tuned with stress-building, fervent prayers and painful decisions on the horizon. This was the moment that nobody wanted to face, and the air around him is becoming more dense by the day. But now that things have considerably changed, family members have revealed that physicians are no longer optimistic behind closed doors. The words that are being whispered off his odds are dwindling. Chilling fans flocked to social media as soon as this heartbreaking revelation was made public, anxious to learn whether Scrappy was truly losing his battle and whether there was anything else they could do. Even while the public is desperate for answers, the truth is still kept behind hospital walls, and only a few people are aware of it, including his closest relatives, inner circle, and of course, the physicians, who now seem more concerned than ever. The facility has a somber aura for her son. Mama D, Scrappy's mother, has been a pillar of support, despite the fact that she also experiences anxiety, while Bambi, Scrappy's wife, has been by his side most of the time, sitting with him for hours on end and holding his hand while saying prayers. Witnesses have described seeing her wandering the hallways with her cheeks flushed. Her once self-assured and cheerful demeanor has changed to one that is far more vulnerable. She was heard stating in a quiet but terrified voice, "I can't lose him because fear is eating away at me." But not everyone is reacting to the situation in the same way. Tensions are rising and old scars are reopening. According to insiders, Mama D and Bambi have already argued several times in the hospital, and the root of the conflict was even visible to the medical personnel. After a development that sent shockwaves through the hospital, Scrappy's head physician held an urgent conference. What was presented in that room left everyone in disbelief. While we're doing everything, Bambi maintains that, as his wife, she should have the final say in matters pertaining to her son's treatment, while Mama D believes she knows what's best for him. During one of their heated arguments, Mom D reportedly lost her anger and "I'm his." In times of stress, emotions run high, and now their woman is giving in. As the family is fighting to keep things together, even the medics had to gently convey that Scrappy needed peace, not strife. Bambi's voice trembled as she heard the doctor's grim addition that everyone in the room was crushed by the weight of those remarks. He explained that he was careful in his word choice, but at the moment his body isn't performing as we intended it to. And if things don't change soon, the outcome might not be what we had hoped for. However, despite appearing to have been hit by a ton of bricks, Mama D pushed for hope because there is still hope. After hearing the devastating news, Bambi was unwilling to cry since she wasn't ready to give up on her husband. But the doctor's hesitation alone said volumes to her eyes. News? The family had to choose between planning for Bambi's worst-case situation and hoping for Scrappy's recovery despite the remote chances. Regardless of what the doctors say, I will not give up on him. Although Mama D refused to give up, she wasn't. She said, "I don't want to see him in pain forever," as if speaking aloud might cause it to happen. The tension between them was already at an all-time high and felt unbreakable, but no one had yet raised their voice. I know that she was terrified of seeing her son suffer, but we must be realistic. Even Bernard, the tenacious stepson who had been shielded from the majority of the mayhem as a child, sensed that something was seriously amiss. And as time passed, nobody truly understood the truth. So neither Bambi nor Mambi had the courage to, as Scrappy's condition remained unchanged and the doctor's concerns grew. The hope that had once pervaded the hospital hallways was starting to wane. But just when it appeared that the worst was still to come, another shocking revelation was about to happen. The air felt heavier, the hospital's hallways were cramped, and the medical staff was bracing themselves for the worst. However, Bambi refused to accept the doctor's warnings that Scrappy's condition was not getting better. with each hour that went by, and that if things don't change soon, the outcome might not be what we had hoped for. Mama D sat in the hospital lounge, her eyes distant and melancholy, and she whispered, "I don't know." She grasped Scrappy's hand and whispered to herself, "This isn't over." But not everyone agrees with her steadfast conviction that he's going to fight. He has to. "How much more of this can I take?" she murmured, her voice breaking. When Bambi entered the room, her eyes were filled with fatigue and annoyance. And I couldn't believe that I was refusing Bambi. Bambi carried on in a sarcastic manner as the mood was abruptly disturbed by a voice. "Excuse me, you're sitting here talking like he has no chance?" Dee's head leaped up. "Quit pretending that we should prepare for the worst." Rose Bambi's voice tells us to remain resilient as the struggle swiftly gets out of hand. "Do you think I want to give up? Don't pray for him all the time," Mama D was saying as she stood there, her hands shaking with emotion. "And then stop worrying about my son so much that you cry yourself to sleep." The door suddenly flew open as the shouting reached its peak. "And Scrappies, I need to speak with you both," the doctor said, pausing before continuing, but the two women silently followed him into Scrappy's room. He lay there still, breathing shallowly, while equipment beat faintly in the background. "We've been closely monitoring his condition. And we've discovered something alarming," as though the words had hit her in the face. The nurses outside the room, already accustomed to the tension between the two ladies, exchanged awkward expressions of anguish and irritation as the two women fell silent quickly, their hearts pounding. Bambi staggered back as soon as his body isn't reacting well to treatment. And the doctor said there are indications of organ stress. "If this keeps up, we might be facing a total system failure." "No, that isn't feasible." There was a heavy silence in the room while Mama D spoke, protecting her from her. Mama D paused, her eyes flaming with anger, pain tearing across her face. But what if her body was at its breaking point? The doctor's face remained serious as Bambi turned on her god. "We need to discuss our options in a heated manner." The tension in the room was terrible, and before one of them could say another word, a faint sound made them freeze. Their eyes were angry when they heard a faint, hardly audible grunt. Bambi shook her head, saying that there is only one option. "We battle on, no matter what." Scrappy's mouth, his eyelids twitched as he tried to open his breath, and his fingers moved slightly as if he were trying to speak. The determined Bambi hurried to his baby. "Can you hear me?" As his week was starting to change, the doctor checked his vitals right away, and his eyes widened in surprise. Mama D said, "Oh my God, he's waking up." Hope filled the room as his levels changed. And Bambi said, "It's me, Scrappy, it's me," her eyes welling with tears. But then a terrible thing happened. The machine's beeping changed, and the air was filled with a loud, ear-piercing alert. Scrappy's breathing became erratic, and his body trembled a little. The doctor's face darkened as Bambi screamed, "What's happening? Get the crash team in here." As doctors and nurses rushed into the room, Bambi covered her mouth and shook her head in fear, and panic broke out. Pushing Bambi and Mama back and saying, "Scrappy, stay with us." The hope that had filled the room was abruptly vanishing once more, and the next few moments felt like a nightmare. Every second that seemed to go on forever, a flatline sound pierced the confusion as they desperately tried to stabilize him. "No, please, no," shrieked Bambi's throat, and Mama D grabbed her chest, struggling to breathe again. No one responded, despite the doctor's insistence that they charge $200 to remove Scrappy's body. Then the clear sea jerked again, and the beeping returned to, "He's alive," the doctor said grimly as he turned to confront the distressed family. Before saying the words that would change everything, the doctor said, "We're running out of time," but Bambi's legs were nearly dropping out from beneath her. "What do we do?" he said. "There is one last option," but Bambi held onto his hand. "What kind of danger did she demand?" Her fingers were shaking, and the nightmare was cut short. The doctor's face was unreadable as she brushed away her tears, her heart pounding, and Scrappy's voice was raspy. From crying. Yet his survival was in jeopardy as he had just been pulled back from the brink and the machines were beating in an odd manner. Before responding, the doctor said, "We can try an experimental procedure, but it's not certain to work. And the possibilities of the doctor continued seriously if we go through with this. There's a chance he won't make it through the process, but if we don't do it, his chances are even lower. Complications are high. We either take the risk or we lose him for sure." Bambi turned to Matey as the decision weighed heavily on them. Bambi's breathing grew feeble. Mama D swallowed hard. "We have to do it," she whispered, hardly lifting her voice above a whisper. "We don't have another choice." With a tear streaming down her cheek, Bambi nodded and said, "We'll do it." The doctor nodded briefly before their eyes locked in agonizing misery, but for once they weren't arguing. The next hour seemed to go on forever as Scrappy was hurried into the operating room, leaving Bambi behind. Mama D and some close friends, completely devastated relatives pacing outside of their nerves. The word has traveled quickly, and the media is requesting a statement. Erica Dixon had just arrived at the hospital, rushing in with tears already streaming down her face. "I recently noticed on the internet that Scrappy Bambi was in surgery and that he turned to her exhausted." One of the medical staff members approached her with a lowered voice. But it was too late because the internet was already up and running. Erica's face was crumpled, and I'm not even sure what to say. Mama D choked her, and none of us did anything about it. Little Scrappy was near death, according to the doctor, who suggested there was little chance. His family was preparing for the worst, and supporters showered social media with love and worry. Vaney shook her head violently. Bambi shook her hand as she browsed through her phone, stating that no statement should be made until we know more. Even worse, there were rumors that Bambi and Mama D had been fighting at Scrappy's bedside, which made things even more chaotic. "Can't do this," Mama said, taking a deep breath before placing a hand on Bambi's shoulder. At that moment, the only thing that matters is that Bambi didn't push her away for the first time in what felt like forever. Ours. Those who speculated that something sinister was the cause of Scrappy's condition shared their support, and some even assumed the worst. "Thank you, Lord Erica, because I can't stand hearing people talk about him as if he's already dead." When the door finally opened and everyone leaped to their feet, the doctor's face was unreadable due to the gas that echoed through the room, nearly making Bambi's legs give out. "Oh my God," Mama D buried her face in tears of relief. "Is Bambi okay?" His heart was pounding. When the doctor finally said he had surgery, but the next 24 hours are crucial. If his body responds well, he has a chance. He paused for a long while. If not, he didn't finish the statement, so his face clouded a little, but he would be fine. Although it was still depressing to see Scrappy chained to machines, there was a glimmer of hope this time. And the doctor hesitated only a moment before going into his Bambi, sat next to him, and took his hand, whispering, "Baby, you did it." Mama D stood. "You're still here." She then ran her fingers over Scrappy's forehead, snapping up Scrappy's head, causing his eyelids to flutter, and Mama D gasped. Oh my God, the room was quiet except for the faint beeping of the machines, which was so weak that it sounded like a weak, raspy voice. "You're not done yet, baby. We need you to wake up." Bambi laughed through her tears as the shock doctor entered the room, "Which is Scrappy for you." Scrappy's lips moved again, and his fingers twitched a little tired as hell as tears streamed down Bambi's face. "Thank God," Mama D sobbed openly, and the relief in the room was immense. Erica shook her head and exhaled, "Damn, Scrap," saying, "You had everyone in this room terrified." For the first time in what seemed like forever, hope wasn't fading anymore. Will he fully recover? Will this experience change his relationships forever? Most importantly, what will happen to Scrappy after this near-death experience? The world is watching, the fans have been holding their breath, and everyone is waiting for the next update. Is certain as Scrappy battles his way back slowly? You all act like I died or something, and Erica smirked while wiping away her tears. Please leave your thoughts on this dire situation in the comments below. Do you believe Scrappy will come out stronger than ever? Or will the fallout from this health scare impact his life in ways we can't even imagine? If you want to stay up to date on every development in this story, please remember to hit the subscribe button below. We have all the most recent drama, so click the like button and enable notifications to ensure you don't miss any updates. You won't want to miss our commitment to you or what happens next. What happens next?